Hello everyone, my name is Biligetu. I'm a forage crop breeder at the Crop Development Center of University of Saskatchewan. So today I want to talk about forage breeding crops to meet industry needs. And in this topic, I today want to talk more about forage breeding programs towards the beef industry. Before I start, I would like to thank Marianne and others for inviting me to present this workshop. I hope I could answer some of your questions after this presentation. So today's presentation, I would like to talk about two portions. First, I would like to give you an update on the forage breeding program, and then I want to talk about some of the SCA funded research project. So grass breeding programs has been one of the important portion of this breeding program of the University of Saskatchewan. So one of the important species is hybrid brome grass. So hybrid brome grass is really a hybrid between meadow brome grass and smooth brome grass. And we have two hybrid brome grass released by Dr. Coleman in 2000 and 2003. And just recent years in 2018, Dr. Coleman and myself, we released another new hybrid brome grass called AAC Torque. So I want to provide you some of characteristics of AAC Torque in the next few slides. So before I go to next slide, I also want to mention is since I joined this program, we are also working with animal nutritionist Dr. Greg Penner to develop new hybrid brome varieties with a higher fiber digestibility. So that's something new to this hybrid brome breeding program. So as I mentioned, this is AAC Torque. AAC Torque released in 2018. So 15 site years across Western Canada. AAC Torque produced about 7% higher yield than AC Nose and 3% higher yield than AC Success. And this also can produce quite high seed yield, and which is probably useful for marketing by the seed growers. So seed of this variety will be available for seeding in 2021. So next species is meadow brome grass. As many of you know, meadow brome grass is an important pasture grass. It has a much rapid regrowth than smooth brome grass or crested wheat grass or hybrid brome grass. And another important aspect of meadow brome is it can stay quite green in the fall, and it's also very leafy and barely have seed head in the fall during regrowth period of time. So in 2020, I released a new meadow brome grass. We haven't provided or given a name yet. We call it the S9549 meadow brome grass. This meadow brome grass has a high forage yield. Also, it's quite taller, and seed probably available in 2022 seeding. So here's some of the data I want to share with you. So this forage new meadow brome grass is compared to fleet meadow brome grass. So based on 6 years test, only one locations, we found 10% higher biomass yield than fleet meadow brome grass. And 3 years test across 3 soil zones, we found this new meadow brome grass has a 6% higher forage yield than fleet meadow brome grass. And on average, it's about 10 centimeters taller than fleet meadow brome grass. Another research directions of this grass breeding program is we develop a salt-tolerant grass. And especially the reason behind this is potentially we can utilize some of the sealand area for forage productions. And also we oftentimes, we know the sealand area has potentially have lots of noxious weed development region, especially foxtail, barley, or kochia. So hybrid wheatgrass, if you have heard AC Southlander, which is developed from Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada Swiftcorn Research Center, this is a salt-tolerant grass, and one of the reasons we worked on this is there was a seed is very expensive, and also I've heard some rumors of seed contamination with a downy brome. So it's interesting to develop a new variety and especially produce high seed yield, potentially also maintain its salt tolerance. So we developed quite a number of different breeding lines. However, one of the lines, S9615, was produced higher seed yield, and we also tested a number of salt tolerance of this line, and we found it's a quite high salt tolerance as well. So this is still not released variety yet. If everything goes as planned, maybe in 2022 we may have a new variety of hybrid wheatgrass. So I want to give you some more details of this S9615 hybrid wheatgrass. So we tested initially in a greenhouse for salt tolerance, and this is compared to AC Saltlander hybrid wheatgrass, and it's quite high salt solutions. It's a 16 decimal per meters. We found it's a better salt tolerance than AC Saltlander. Then in 2019, we selected two sites in southern Saskatchewan. One is Strongfield, Saskatchewan. The other one is Central Butte, Saskatchewan. We found one site has 10 and the other one has a 9 decimal Siemens per meter of electroconductivity. So it's a moderate or higher than moderate salt tolerance field. So we seeded both of them in mid-June 2019, and we found that was a very dry season. We seeded all of them, and we really didn't have a chance to go back to see or manage at all. So in the Strongfield side, there were very high density of kochia. We can see 2020, this is 2020 pictures. We found this established quite well. We still can see some kochia here. Central Butte, we also same thing, we never managed because, especially this year, because of this COVID thing, we didn't go there until very recently to take some pictures, and we found establishment was not too bad for this two site. So I want to next portion of my presentation is I want to give you an update on Saskatchewan Cattlemen Association funded research project. First one is evaluation of forage Galiga as a new forage legume. So Galiga is a legume crop. It has been used in European countries and also used in Ontario and Thunder Bay areas. In this project, myself, Dr. Gillian Maynard from Swift Current, Al Foster from Saskatchewan Ministry of Agriculture, and Dr. Nitya Kanal from Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada Beaverlodge Station. And other funders include ADF and Saskatchewan Forage Seed Development Commissions. The reason we are interested is Thunder Bay areas where Dr. Sakota provided us data as well as these pictures, and you can clearly tell in that area forage Galiga can produce the very high biomass yield. So in this study, we compared forage Galiga with beaver alfalfa, welted Sizer milk veg, and AEC mountain meal sandfly. So this is Saskatchewan. We seeded in 2018, Saskatchewan, Melfort, Swift Current, and Beaverlodge, Alberta. So seedling stage, we found it can grow quite rapidly in a seedling stage. I can also think this seedling vigor is not as high as alfalfa. It's somewhat similar to sandfly, probably. In 2019, we had a record dry season. You can clearly tell here in alfalfa grass, it didn't work well, didn't grow that well. And this is a Galiga. We found this can grow, but it's very drought sensitive. It's another thing I found is this crop also have kind of different light yellow color under drought condition. However, in a Beaverlodge, where moisture is not a limiting factor, this forage Galiga grew really well. So this is a Beaverlodge 2020. It's a similar story in 2019. So this is the regrowth of Galiga plot, and this is alfalfa. and you can see regrowth of Calica is almost as good as or better than alfalfa in the third year if moisture is not the limiting factors. So this is some data from one first production year in 2019. We all know in Saskatchewan we had the drought in 2019, especially Swift Current, Saskatoon area. And the reason I selected Swift Current is this is a dry site, and Beaverlodge it's one of the moist site. So this green is forage Calica, and this the yellow is alfalfa. This is orange is Sicer milk vetch, and this is a sandfoil. Similar thing, similar order here. So this is the first cut, second cut, and total biomass yield. A very dry site and moist site. One thing I want to mention is under drought condition, forage Calica really didn't perform. And in the Beaverlodge, it's a very different story. Beaverlodge, they have almost similar first cut yield to alfalfa, better than sandfoil and Sicer milk vetch, and regrowth, it's probably even better than alfalfa. And total yield is similar to alfalfa, better than Sicer and sandfoil in the Beaverlodge site. So forage quality, we only did 3 parameters: protein, crude proteins, 2 fibers, acid detergent fiber and neutral detergent fiber. So again, in Swift Current, we found protein is actually lower than alfalfa and Sicer milk vetch. However, in a Beaverlodge, the protein level is higher than all other 3 legumes. And ADF is slightly low compared to alfalfa at both sites. NDF is somewhat similar. So really take-home message for this new species is it may have potential in high moist region. Another thing is also this forage Calica is we direct import from Finland. So there's no adaptation test or any pre-breeding work. So I think it may be interesting to continue on some small scale of improvement work over years, and this species may be useful for a very wet area where alfalfa is not very tolerant. Another funded project is it's a new project. We want to develop a forage cultivars for stockpiled grazing in the fall. In this project, we have Dr. Bart Lardner, Dr. Coleman, Dr. Robinson from USD, Utah, and Dr. Surya Chirya from Lethbridge. This project is also funded by ADF, Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association, and Saskatchewan Forage Seed Development Commissions. We have 2 species in this project. One is Sicer milk vetch. We all know Sicer milk vetch can maintain its leaf quite well compared to alfalfa after frost, and meadow brome is one of the best grass in the fall in Western Canada. So the main objective is we want to cut slightly earlier for hay, then we stockpile all this biomass into late October or early November. Then we measure their gross biomass also for their forage quality for grazing. Because this is the first year, I don't have data to share, but I will do in the future. So another aspect of this Sicer milk vetch meadow brome stockpiling project is also graduate student training, and we have a really outstanding graduate student started from this May of this year. It's David McTaggart, and since David joined this project, he brought very different aspect from his own experience, and so he was doing a project using a drone and multispectral camera to phenotype and testing this accumulation without sampling this alfalfa, Sicer milk vetch or meadow brome grass. So I don't want to go in details because I know David is really interested about working with the industry, and I'm sure he will share his result near future. In this project, we also did a small portion of agronomy trial. The reason is there was a questions when you seed sandfoil with grasses, sandfoil barely established, or at least need 3-4 years to establish a good stand. So what we did was we used different seeding ratio So it's a high sandfoil, high sizer milk wedge, low metal, and vice versa. And also we seeded in alternative rows. We also seeded in the same row. So one clear distinction between these two is when seeding sizer milk wedge in alternative row with grasses, especially with the meadow brome, we found it's a way better establishment of sizer milk wedge, and you can clearly tell from these pictures as well. And it's maybe interesting to see when we have data, we will share with you. So this is the exact same grass meadow brome sizer milk wedge plot. You cannot see probably sizer milk wedge here. It's alternative rows of meadow and sizer milk wedge, and I found it's very successful establishment. So I also want to briefly mention a new project funded by Saskatchewan Cattlemen's Association and ADF. So in this project, one of the original work was funded by Alberta beef producers about 3 years ago or 4 years ago. And the forage type of wheat, the breeder is Dr. Pierre Haku from Crop Development Center. So my main role is I'm not the breeder of the forage wheat. I'm helping them to test the biomass yield, forage quality, and to collect more data for registration, etc. So in this project, you can clearly tell here is a forage wheat, and it's taller, and in some cases it has a much higher green yield as well. This project also has an important portion from next year. We will test their silage, forage wheat silage to feed in the beef cattle, and this is led by Dr. Tim McClaster in Lethbridge. So here is the data. This is really a data we generate from our first phase funded by Alberta beef producers. So it's 3 years at 3 sites, and this is forage biomass yield. This AC berry is a regular wheat. This is one of the forage wheat breeding lines. You can see there's a quite large difference for biomass yield when you cut at soft dough stage. And this is a nutritive value of the biomass. They are almost similar. Maybe forage type, these green lines, maybe have slightly higher fiber component compared to AC berry. Another interesting thing is green yield and green protein. So this is tested at Saskatchewan 3 years, so it's only one location test. We found green yield was higher, quite higher. This is average of 3 years. This is forage wheat, and this is AC berry. It's a quite high green yield. Not only biomass, green yield is also high, which is very interesting. However, downside of this high green yield is green protein compared to AC berry is low. So its AC berry has about 16% of protein in our test, but if you can see, this forage type has about 13% of protein. So with that, I would like to thank everyone joined today. And if you have any question, I'm more than happy to answer. Thank you.